Well, that's a rather grey and drab first frame for the episode to start on, but oh well, Frieren, more Frieren. Let's end it on a fun cliffhanger. End it on the promise of like I know I spent much of the last episode saying like, oh, I hope there's not too much video game logic that comes into that. You don't want it to be too much video game logic and just cool fight scenes and stuff. I want it to be introspective, but then also, admittedly, I started hooting and hollering. It's like instantly the moment it's like, oh, boss fight against Frieren. Oh, fucking hell, yeah, go. Like, admittedly, I'm willing to call myself out for that. And I also immediately started clapping like a trained seal at the idea of like the other mages having to have a fucking boss fight against a Frieren clone. So I'll take that L. I still mean it though. I don't. It's fine if we indulge. It's fine to have a little interlude like this, but I do want the show to get back to slowly walking through the countryside, having feelings about stuff. Eventually, but for now, maybe this is okay. Maybe just for a little bit, we can just do this for a bit. That's also okay. So. As ever, let me give you the intro and the way that it works. Imagine you and I sitting on a couch next to one another. We both watching the same episode of Frieren at the same time, but every once in a while, me being your yappy annoying friend, I say, hey, I need to talk to you about this. 3, 2, 1, pause, and we both pause the episode at the same time. I do all of my yapping, and then I say 3, 2, 1, go, and then we both go at the same time, and that's how we stay in sync. And also, there's a time code up in the upper left corner, and you'll see subtitles sort of on screen, even if as you can tell, I don't show you all of the anime because that's a fast way to get YouTube copyright killed. But yeah, there you go. Like, the subtitles will show up clearly. The timer's there. You can use that to keep in time with me. So, let's see what happens when we get raid boss fight against Frieren. Or are we doing like the One Piece and Dragon Ball anime thing where it's like a whole episode of build-up? Where it's just like seeing everything else that's happening, what everyone else is doing, and then at the end of the episode, like after having that tease about like, oh my god, raid boss Frieren, we're gonna go the whole episode, nothing's gonna happen, and then next episode is the actual thing. Are we doing the Dragon Ball thing? Are we doing like everyone tries to drag out time as much as possible? Usually you don't do that in a show like Frieren, right? Like usually you do that in something like One Piece or Dragon Ball because you need to drag those chapters out as much as possible so the manga can get ahead of you. But yeah, who knows? Let's see. 3, 2, 1, go. Wasn't expecting to encounter these here. Does that mean he's had experience with those things? The thing I'm going to be looking for is, will the Frieren clone attack first? Or does it only respond to violence? Because, like, Vierbel's party, they were attacked first, right? Like, the Vierbel clone cast its spell and attacked them immediately. Because I think that does matter in terms of like whether this like, oh, this is the pacifism test and the true solution to the problem is to not attack, right? Is to not fight. Because that only works if the clones don't attack first, right? So for me, that speaks against the idea that the solution is to simply not do violence and then they won't do violence on you. Because presumably these things were put in here as like a protection measure for the whatever treasure it is that's supposed to be hidden down here. Rather than as a moral test for whomsoever enters, right? I do note about the intro that when Saren is walking through the world, like that little montage of time, people appear as little more than dark shadows, right? Not people, just these shadows that fade in the background as she walks through the ages, right? I wonder if that says something about her mindset around human beings. Spiegel? That's a newspaper. Spiegel. It's not Spiel. It's not like theater, right? Senza, right? That's her name. I don't know, man. She put together a test that absolutely requires. Yeah, they attack first. She put together a test that absolutely requires them to do violence. Compelling analysis there, Dinkin. It's not good, you say? Really? Ooh. Like the smoke, like the fucking animation on that whole bit, but the smoke animation in the aftermath especially. Ah, you're fighting the clones as well, are you? And she stole the bottle. Cool. You're the one laughing, bleeding to death guy. Hey, question: where's the clone guy's clone? There we go. Oh my fucking god, you assholes. Okay. It doesn't smile either. More spear fighting. You fucking kidding me with this fucking POV shot? Fuck you. Figures, yeah. Clever boy. Now we get the more interesting psychology, huh? Yes, you do. I saw you with that cat. Don't you try and lie to me. Oh, she's about to learn that fucking clone jutsu. Interesting. Okay, 3, 2, 1, pause. First of all, go to hell, Madhouse. First of all, go to hell. First of all, go to hell. Let's start there. Let's start with go to hell. Let's initially, let's just do that, right? As a starting point, go to hell. Second, differential animation timing for the smoke and the cloak and the movement. It's like, ooh, just very good. Interesting idea, like interesting way to do it, like flash to white, flash to black, then we light up with like the set up flash frames where you can see like the pillar and some of the background is being like starkly rendered as well, and then gadoom. And I do like the way like the beams start out very thick and then thin, but they fan out almost like octopus's arms. And then it's just some animators showing off here. Like, this is an animator who's like, oh, Otani Circus? Fuck you. You want to see an Otani Circus? I got your fucking Otani Circus. Like, not quite, right? Like, Otani Circus is a very specific thing, but like, this is an animator who's trying to have a circus named after them instead, because look at okay, so look at the complexity of what's being animated here, right? Because we have 3 characters flying through, right? With a 4th entering here with their teleport spell. So 3 characters all sort of circling, barrel rolling, moving through the air, moving towards and away from the camera, being rotated in 3D space. Each of these characters have their own like micro narrative of like dodging and evading the spells that are following them, right? Like Denken has this little like he sort of barrel rolls up this way, managed to roll out of the way of that one, right? Then a second one comes in. He manages to sort of dodge underneath that one, and then he retreats over to the background with Earth Magic guy whose name I keep forgetting. And then you can see how, like, these streaks chase him, and he, like, exits the frame there. So, like, he has his own little mini narrative of things that happen to him as he's trying to dodge these things. And then Earth Mage guy, let's call him Dennis. Dennis over here has his own little thing, right? Like, he's also doing a little bit of, like, dodging, rolling around. He's not the main target of the action, but he has to have his own little thing, his own little arcs that he follow through the screen. He moves away from the camera. He sort of dodges out of sight in this smoke cloud. And then comes back and appears over here. Right, with the... And then we have Lady Mage, whose name I don't know that we've been told yet, actually. Right, like, she has her own little thing dodging around with these spiraling spells that are chasing her, right? Like, so everyone has, like, their own mini narrative of, like, what happens to them in this incredibly complicated scene. What happens to them? What's their micro narrative here? And, like, just the logistics of handling all of that, being able to tell all of those stories on the same page, right? Like, on the same screen, inside of the same frame, so that everyone gets to do their movement, everyone gets to have that little moment of being seen to dodge or do something cool, while also managing, like, it's one thing just to do the motion and movement of the characters, right? It's another thing entirely to have to do all of that motion of all of those characters at the same time as managing, oh yeah, and by the way, while you're doing all this with these characters, also, you need to have these hot white and blue glowing streaks of light occasionally taking up the entire fucking screen. Have fun storyboarding that, right? Have fun planning that out so that all makes sense. And then they're working on my favorite thing, right? Like the differential timings, where different things move on different timings. So the background has its own timing, like the character animation has its own timing. The characters animate offset from each other, right? And so, like, the production crew here are having to plan and manage, like, what moves on which frame. Which of all of these things that are moving right now, which ones move when, in order to maintain the continuity of motion and the smoothness of what's happening here, right? And just the biggest shout-outs in the entire fucking world to the compositors. The compositors whose job is to make all of this work, right? Because the compositor's job, besides just putting everything on screen, like, the animators don't animate the backgrounds, they animate the characters doing their thing. So it's the compositor's job to put all of these elements together in a way that looks good, which means they're the ones who have to manage the depth of field, right? Like, they're the ones who have to manage which elements at what points are in focus, which ones are out of focus, like, which ones fade into the background with blurring, which ones stay in focus, who gets, like, most of the lighting attached to them. And it's just all of it for a shot that lasts, what? I mean, it's not even a shot, it's multiple shots, but it started at 3:49 and a 3:52, right? 3 seconds. 3 seconds. That's all you get. For all of that work, you get 3 seconds. Seconds of finished animation. That goes by so fast. Right? It goes by so fast. You don't really... like, I didn't register. I couldn't tell exactly how fucking complicated this shot was until I went back and did my frame-by-frame thing, right? Like, I saw it and I instantly knew, okay, that one's a bit special. We need to talk about it. But just how much fucking shit is going on in this sequence? How much stuff is just being handled by people? They're just handling it. They're just doing it. And it just looks confident and good, and you don't even notice how complicated it is because it looks so natural. Fucking Studio Madhouse. Fucking Madhouse. For fucking real, though. Like, Jesus. And then again, they do some shit with this fight. Like, this fucking tracking shot. Again, this is just... See, because the thing is, you can just use a 3D camera. You can just, like, Dungeon Meshi does this multiple times for some of the shots. Like, they also have shots like this in Dungeon Meshi. But in Dungeon Meshi, like, multiple times, it's like, oh, no, we just created a 3D environment in a 3D camera, and we textured it really, really nicely so that it looks like hand-drawn animation. And then we drew some characters doing some stuff in the show. You can't just do that. You can just fucking make a 3D model, right? And I'm sure, like, my assumption would be that at the very least they made a 3D model of this room to rotoscope over. And I wouldn't be surprised if maybe, I don't know, I can't tell. Hang on. So what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for line wobble. I'm looking for, like, how much did they redraw the background here? Because, like, it doesn't feel fully like a 3D camera. It could be a mixed media thing. It could be that the floor... Again, I would assume rotoscoping, right? It could be that some very complex elements like the door arrangement back here, that could be just a straight-up 3D element with some shaders on it that's composited into the background, so the animator doesn't have to animate the full complex structure of that fucking door. It's mostly because the door has so much more detail on it than pretty much any other part of the scene that I kind of go, okay, did they make a 3D model of just the door and then composite it into the shot? Because the rest of it... Look at the star up here, right? If this was a fully 3D model, right? That star would be perfectly consistent from frame to frame, but it isn't. It isn't consistent at all, which means this is hand-drawn. Like, you can see the same thing with, like, the circle of the little protrusion that it's sitting on, which means that that's hand-drawn. Like, this part of the room, the walls, the fucking floor, the smoke, like, the sort of... like, cut thing that's going across it. That's all hand-drawn. I would imagine at the very least rotoscoping is involved here. I would imagine at the very least the fucking door had to be fucking rotoscoped. Jesus fucking Christ. Because this fucking shot, man... And again, this is like a point of view shot, right? Like, we're essentially taking on Übel's point of view as she's dashing. So we're setting up the idea of doing point of view shots already that will occasionally jump into her perception to see her fighting herself like this. And, like... fucking... first-person point-of-view shot, right? And again, shout-outs to the compositor, right? Because the animator who's working on the character animation here is not directing the camera, right? That's the work of, like, the compositors and, like, the director and the camera people who, like, they're just taking a static 2D background and they're just moving it, right? In these angles, right? So you can see how as the clone moves, the camera sort of swings almost as though to keep up with her motion, right? To emulate the idea that we're inside Übel's eyes and we're seeing her, like, track the clone with her eyes. And the little detail of she swings, cut appears in the background, out of focus, right? Like, it doesn't draw attention to it, but there is just the thing. She swings, a cut appears on the wall in the background. I'm gonna get copyright claimed for all of this fucking animation I'm showing. But I need to at least look at the fucking point of view shots, because... Again, the animator is not the person moving the camera around. So the animator isn't moving the background, which means the compositor who's doing the background, right? You can see that there's a desynchronization between when the Übel clone moves and when the background moves. So that the compositor who's moving the camera has to be really, really careful to move the camera in a way that feels correct with the character animation, right? That feels like the character remains planted on the ground, even though they don't have like a three-dimensional space to move in. They only have a flat 2D background. It's astonishingly good. These fucking point of view shots are driving me insane. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Like, why would you do it that way? And I get it. Like, it does make sense cinematographically, right? In the sense that this is the first time, really, I think, in the series so far. Like, this is the first time we've known Übel that we get to be inside her head. We get to hear her thinking, right? Like, her reflection about what she's doing. So having these point of view shots that put us directly inside of her perception as she's having this monologue with herself, that we also get to see fucking just like fucking we're playing Doom with her all of a sudden. Cinematographically, that makes perfect sense. And then this little fucking shot. Bet it was the same guy who did that Denken shot, or same animator, rather. I too love to use the smudge tool in Photoshop or the distort tool in Photoshop, but that's not what they're doing. They're hand animating this shit. You can tell, right? This isn't just applying a filter, right? This isn't just applying like a TikTok filter or whatever. This is the animator is hand drawing these transitions. Again, I would assume the sensible way to do it, again, for me, would be to take the base illustration, use some kind of lens distortion tool in image editing software to create the final keyframe so that you know what you're working towards, and then just sort of work out the in-between frames from there. But this is genuinely deeply, deeply impressive work. Like, to handle that transition. And again, once again, the compositor is doing a lot of hard work to make this shot work, right? This sort of dolly zoom effect that's over top of it, that only works if the compositor is, again, the compositor has to match the amount of fisheye lens effect they're putting on the background, has to reasonably match. Like, I'm sure it's not photo perfect or whatever, but it has to reasonably match the intensity of the fisheye lens effect that's happening on the clone's head at the same time in order to make that dolly zoom effect, like, really work. Because what a fucking thing. Yoink! And I do enjoy the psychology play between the two of them. This is a lovely little toxic relationship right here. Like, if you want a toxic shipping dynamic, you could do a lot worse than these two dipshits. Like, that would be funny. And again, here we get, it's an interesting insight into Übel's mindset, right? Because you are still left with that ambiguity, that question of like, okay, she figured out that it must have been a clone. And so, did she offer him the escape bottle just to manipulate him into come to save her? And is she doing it just because she wants to empathize with him enough to steal his clone magic and then probably kill him? Like, is she setting up for the really manipulative long game? Is that what she's doing? Or is that the story that she's telling him? Right? Is that the story that she's telling him after she genuinely goes and does something quite stupid, right? Like, where she thinks, like, okay, that's a possibility, but she doesn't know that it's a clone? Right? That there is that ambiguity between, like, is she doing this complex fucking Hannibal-ass mutual psychological manipulation play date with him? Is she doing this just to play and fuck with him, right? Is she doing it because she enjoys this kind of like intellectual combat between the two of them, trying to deduce one another's motivations and feelings? Or is she doing it because she doesn't want him to die? Like, is she genuinely trying to save him? There's a little bit of ambiguity. You can read it either way. My instinct is to say it's probably less that she has like a secret well of empathy, and probably more that it's just because she's calling his bluff, right? Like, that's essentially what she's doing here. She's calling his bluff, right? And that it's much more about the game between the two of them, and that she has figured it out. That would be my instinct. But I like that the narrative leaves that little gap open, that little sliver of a gap that is like, okay, it's because she's figured it out, or she hasn't figured it out, but like, she just deep down don't want him to just die, right? Whether that's because she wants the pleasure of killing him herself, or like whatever it is. We don't know enough about Übel to really suss that out completely yet. And I like that. I enjoy that. Anyway, fucking hell. Fucking Madhouse. Honestly. 3, 2, 1, go. By the way, how do you have a map? Are you drawing one? I guess they're drawing a map as they go. Etrian Odyssey style. Mimic. Please be a mimic. Please be... It's literally a video game map. Jesus Christ. Was that a good idea? Oh, fuck off. Okay. Hold on a second. 3, 2, 1, pause. Hold on a fucking second, and I might have to talk about whatever they're doing with the wall there as well. But, like, okay, this is not like a traditional sort of character animation moment that I find really impressive. This is just... Look at the depth of field in this image. Look at the depth of field. Look at the way they're using the because like this is an animation, right? There is no camera. The camera doesn't have to focus on anything, right? There's no lens, there's no any of that. Like there is no depth of field, but we're emulating it. Like we're creating depth of field in the image, specifically to achieve aesthetic ends, right? And like, look at there's a number of things going on here. There's the camera shake, right? Like we have this camera jiggle shake, which adds like a sense of dimensionality to the thing. There's the depth of field, and then there's the light, which is like, that's the illustrators and like the lighting artists doing that, because like this is not character animation in the traditional sense, because these are just 2D illustrations, flat 2D illustrations that are being moved, right? Like that are just like being moved around like paper dolls, right? And it's because they're being moved, like because it's not hand-drawn animation where you have to redraw the frames. They're moving on ones here, right? Like we've talked about that. Like most animation, really smooth Disney-style animation has a tendency to be animated on twos, right? So they move every other frame of film, because that's sort of reasonably cost-efficient for the amount of animation that needs to be made for a Disney movie. That's a lot of that is animated on twos. Sometimes things are animated on ones when they need to be extra smooth, and then seasonal anime, like stuff animates on 3s and 4s sometimes, because that's a lot more budget-friendly. You literally cut down the amount of frames that need to be produced massively in order to do that, right? And a lot of stuff works on limited animation where a lot of the times like shit doesn't move at all. So this is a shot where things are moving on ones, right? In an anime where even the smoothest battle shots, right, usually move on twos and use that differential animation timing thing to fill in the gaps so that it looks smooth. Here we get this shot where everything just moves on ones. And it looks so smooth that it's almost a bit uncanny, isn't it? That incredible, like that lifelike smoothness, right, of moving on ones, which is what life does in real life. Things move at an infinite frame rate. Does it? Does life move at an infinite frame rate? Some philosopher of science, could you physics check me on that? Does physical reality move at an infinite frame rate? Or is there like some maximum polling rate of the universe? Like, does reality update infinitely quickly? Or is there something of like nothing can happen faster than this lower universal limit where it's like, well, this is the vibrational speed of an electron and nothing, like, the universe cannot change state faster than this? Is it the speed of light again? It kind of would be, right? Nothing can move faster than the speed of light. Does that mean nothing can change states as a unit of time? Like, is there a smallest possible unit of time and the universe just simply cannot move in increments that are smaller than that? I'm sorry, I just made myself really fascinated with a scientific question. But it's because you get this incredibly smooth shot of everything moving on ones and this very different way of animating, right? Like, this is like compare and contrast with the gargoyles. We're not doing that here. We're not animating them like characters. We're animating them like objects. Essentially, it's a kind of stop motion animation, right? But paper doll animation is just. What a fucking shot, man. What a fucking shot. It's also like the timing that they're, because like, that's the thing, like, we don't have the differential animation timing thing to work with here, right? Like, we don't have the thing of like one frame, one thing moves, another frame, another thing moves. So we can't do that. Instead, we have to do this different rate thing, right? Where each statue has like its own economy of motion. Where they go through this process of like this little lifting up and then rise. That little turning and that little circling. And they all go on like different timings like that, right? Like they sort of go in sequence with one another, but not in a completely perfectly linear sequence. Oh, what a fucking shot. That caught me dead. Like that really stunned me for just a second. That was beautiful. God damn. Anyway, 3, 2, 1, go. I mean, fucking Madhouse with the fucking bricks. Okay, they don't animate the whole thing, but they they do just do some unnecessarily impressive shit there. I gotta say, the art direction on the lighting in Frieren in general is also just genuinely fantastic. The way they manage light. And, like, use colors as an element of... Huh, that would be the king. Oh, I like the illustration style of that mural. Take a photo. Step on a trap. Oh, okay. I mean, eventually you do have to deal with you. They've all given up. They're like, nope. Underleveled for this. Frieren's just having fun. But we're not getting the fight? I mean, we're only 12 minutes in. There's time, right? Are we getting half of it? Throw a mimic in there. I'm begging you to throw a mimic in there. I'm begging you. Throw the mimic in there. Okay, but throw a mimic in there. Ah, Methode. Methode. Literally named method. Fair enough. Should have been me. I'm sorry, what? Oh, Fern being jealous. Uh-huh. They're a little stuck, huh? Is that a clone of Sense? Oh, that's not good. It was Himmel's fault! Okay, this is a little shoddy as exposition. They all already know that. Not so much of a pacifist, this one, huh? Well, that didn't work. You don't know how much I'm restraining myself. Okay, 3, 2, 1, pause. Motherfucker. Motherfucker! These reactions are getting long enough already. I did want to call out just like the physical interaction between Frieren and Method, whatever. Methode. I thought they were quite nicely, like, there's an emphasis here on, like, smoothness and softness that I quite liked. But anyway, I mean, come the fuck on. So, interesting little trick here, right? You see it here, right? That this is a painted background, right? Like, everything here is painted. It's all background, right? Like, this is all meant to be static animation. Then we do some flashes. We do a bunch of motion blur, and then boop. Here we swap from painted static background to boop, cell painted animated background. Just a wonderfully smooth little switch that sort of obscures the fact that suddenly the ground has no texture anymore, right? That's very smoothly done. And now I want to see Sensei. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Because, like, there's going to have to be a lot of work going into managing her hair as an object or as a series of objects. Right, so here it's just kind of cycling back and forth through a wobble cycle as she's holding, waiting to strike, but then yeah, you can see the hair beginning to form those spirals, right? To become almost like spider legs as it becomes these drills, right? And you can see it here, like here it's a fairly smooth set of structures, right? Like, because they're kind of just hair twirled in on itself. And then you can see they tighten, right? You can see them tighten. And then a little animator's trick, right? How do we animate these things so that they look like they're spinning real fast while they're going? Well, just fucking scribble it. Just scribble on it. Just like these very rough drawn scribbles rather, cycling through the animation as it goes. right? And it's extremely simplified, right? Like this doesn't look particularly impressive. It doesn't look naturalistic at all, but it works for what it's doing because it's flashing through those frames of rough animation so fast. Right? You get the sense, you get that feeling of spinning, drilling, rotating motion in a way that's genuinely, I think, sometimes more effective than trying to do it more literally like this. But it's also a style of animation, like this scribble style of animation, it wouldn't really survive this kind of a close-up, right? So you can see that we're doing the scribble thing here. Then we get to about this point when you see they come into focus in the camera a little bit. And then this one, yoink, we zoom in close enough. Okay, when we're zoomed in this close, when we get to see it in this much detail, you can't get away with a scribble. Now we have to animate it slightly more complexly, right? So you see that they're working like they're creating all these grooves and shadows and like this directionality to the spinning to sort of really communicate it in a way that's like much more specifically animated without being able to rely on that trick. But then the moment we zoom back out, oh no, yeah, back to black scribbles, just hyper, like cycling them every single frame, right? Cycling the frames on one in order to get that super rapid spinning effect. That's really cool. Interesting that like she gets stabbed and she has time to like react to that. By the way, lovely reaction. And fall to her knees, and they still haven't done a damn thing about it. They're still not even like, oh shit, that's bad. Which is interesting. And then it was this fucking shot. I mean, this is fully the way the animator here is handling her hair, the smoothness and the fluidity of it. This is a level of animation I would fully expect to see in, like, Golden Age Renaissance Disney. Right? You see those little subtle, like, the swaying, right? Like, it sways backwards, and then you can see she, like, sways forwards a little bit. And they're handling the volume of that. The volume of the hair, the volume of the character and the clothes. They are handling that. Like, if you told me Glenn Keane animated this, I would believe you. This really kind of does feel a lot like the way that Keane handled hair in Pocahontas in some places. This bit of animation right here. God, that's beautiful. Look at that. And again, props to the lighting artist who's handling this, because so much of the volume in this shot on the character comes from the way the lighting artist is handling the progression, the emergence, and like the almost liquid nature of the shadows. Yeah, I'm sorry, you're just gonna be stuck here with me on this shot for a bit, because like, in fact, let me just, I need to see something here. I need to see something. This is going to take me a sec to set up, but I just need to see something. Yeah, so I increased the speed to... Oh, you can't see that right now. Sorry. I increased the speed to 200% just to see it moving on ones. And it's astonishing how well it holds up. Because, like, a lot of animation, like... Animation is generally designed to work at the frame rate at which it is drawn, right? Like, that's one thing about, the anime style of animation is that so many of the visual gestures, so many of the behaviors, so much of what anime does to create its aesthetic of motion is designed to work with the limited amount of frame rate and the large amount of frame holds and limited animation that anime has to work with, right? Like, it's designed to work within the constraints of the medium and the production constraints of the medium. If you take a lot of anime animation and you increase the speed to 200% or 300% or whatever, it's like, you know, those old-timey sort of black and white movies from way back at the beginning of cinema where you see them and it's like everyone's sort of moving too fast, right? Like, everyone's moving at a really unnaturally fast pace, and it doesn't quite work because of the inconsistent speed of movie reels back then. It's kind of like that. Like, a lot of anime, when you just simply speed it up, it becomes hyperactive and kind of unreadable because the specific economy of motion things that are invented for the purposes of the anime visual style, they don't translate well to being sped up. But look at this. Oh, you're having some trouble seeing it, actually. I've done an opacity thing with the thing here because, like, sometimes when I go and I do these long rambles about specific... Oh, hang on, that's not the thing I want to do. That's the thing I want to do. Sometimes when I do these long rambles about it, like, the copyright thing picks up on, hey, he's been watching, like, he's putting a lot of anime footage on the screen, even if it's just the same stuff over and over. But you kind of need to see this properly without something in the background messing with you. That's 200% speed, and look how perfect it still looks. It looks perfect. It doesn't look unnatural. The economy of motion is perfect. It's perfect. I need to do another experiment just to see. What if we do this? Yeah, this is half speed. This is 50%. And it just looks like slow motion in a movie. Yeah, no, fucking hell. Who animated this? Just as an experiment, surely this wouldn't work. Like, how far do we have to put... I'm sorry, I'm just messing around right now because this shot has fascinated me. Okay, 300% seems to be pushing it. Still, what an astonishing... Like, again, this is... I'm not fucking around here. This specific shot, I don't know about the others, we'll look at the others in a bit. I would expect to see this in a Disney movie. Like, this style, this level of animation, this is... Like, this is on par with what Disney was putting out back when they still did. In fact, like... Yeah. Like, this is fucking... This is Glenn Keane level. This is some James Baxter level. Like, just this one shot, right? But the handling of the physicality of it is... And there's a reason I'm not saying Ghibli. By the way, in case you were thinking that in your head, why is he just comparing it to Western animation and not Ghibli? Ghibli has a different approach to a lot of its physicality than this, in my opinion. Like, again, it depends on the movie. Like, Ghibli has a lot of different things. Ghibli is not any one thing, it should be said. Ghibli is huge variety of interesting things that the Ghibli animation studio has put out, and many different, like, styles of animation as well. Like, people have a stereotypical idea in their head of what Ghibli animation looks like, and it's false. But this, to me, and again, I would have to do some direct comparisons to really be super confident about this, but that, especially the way they're moving her body relative to the hair, this kind of doesn't feel Ghibli to me in its aesthetic. I don't think Ghibli's animators would handle that shot that way. At least not for a Ghibli production. It's something else about the way that this is. Now I know what this reminding me of. Hang on. Hold on. Is that on YouTube? Please tell me it's on YouTube. It's on Vimeo. Okay, I guess we'll have to make do. Or it is? It is? Okay. So, I'm sorry, this is gonna be really awkward and impractical, but... Okay, I think I'm playing with fire with this one. They don't have the specific shot. Okay, I'm looking for the Firebird from Fantasia 2000. I guess I'm gonna have to watch it on Vimeo. I'm not a spam bot, Vimeo. Leave me alone. I'm just using a VPN, you asshole. How many times do I have to click this? Thank you. Please don't give me cookies. Fuck off. This is gonna be slow. It's gonna take a sec. Because I need to find this. I really need to be careful not to use more than I should of this shot. Because Disney are not a forgiving sort of company. Okay, can you see that? Good, you can see that, kind of. Well enough. Well enough for this. It's the style of motion of the Cloak of Spring here. Like, both liquid and strands. That's what I'm reminded of. I'm getting something of that specific approach to wave-based kind of liquid motion. I'm sorry, this shot is just fucking captivating me. This episode has some... This episode has some single shots that just kind of take my fucking breath away. Okay, so for the rest of it, cool combat animation, Sakuga. She's doing a Spider-Man thing with her hair that's very funny. Lovely differential animation on the ground and the hair here. And, okay, right. Fucking hell. I'm sorry, yeah, if you were hoping for me to watch the episode, I guess I'm disappointing you. Also, quite fond of this little shot of land. Jumping. What an appealing little shot. What a jaunty little skip and a hop there. More lovely differential animation. to smooth out the movement between them. That's fantastic. Anyway, finish the episode now. Let's try. Or maybe this fucking episode is going to blow my brains out through the back of my head again. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, the guy who went in alone. He's alive. He's not dead, at least. Maybe use the bottle now, friend. They're having a snowball fight? That's cute. They don't smile. Fully doing trench warfare. Oh, Jesus. Okay, yeah, sure. They literally played that out like an artillery battle. That's funny. What a terrifying thing to say. And she's just happy about it, Frieren. So yeah, like, definitely, as the intro and outro implies, this is very much about the Frieren-Fern relationship. This arc, this whole thing. Which is pleasing. Like, they haven't focused on it really hard yet, but I do feel like this Fern being like, yeah, no, I know how to kill her. And after also the scenes with Fern and Frieren just kind of being happy in each other's company as they go through the dungeon, right? Like, Fern being happy that Frieren is enchanted by a bunch of, like, magic junk, and Frieren, like, seeming to genuinely enjoy being able to show Fern these things that Himmel was able to show her, right? Like, passing on that joy of dungeoneering to her student. That's lovely. Also, the fucking stop-motion painted glass animation thing they're doing in this fucking outro, I want to see a behind-the-scenes doc on how they did that so bad. You have no idea. I can imagine a number of the ways and the number of the things they did, but jeez, Marie's, the fucking... What a gorgeous way to do it, too. Like, especially since the Frieren figure, like, the figures look like porcelain almost. And they must be ceramic with some paint on it or something, but damn. Anyway, good show, this. It's a pretty good show, Frieren, I think. I think the Frieren show is pretty good. Like, I talk about it a normal amount, I feel. I feel like I have a normal level of appreciation for what the show is doing and what it's about. I feel like my level is very normal. Like, everyone else's reactions to every single episode are also like an hour long, right? That's normal. That's the standard length of react. Fucking hell. More. I need to go see some more, but first I have to end this episode. So, if you support the channel, you go down there with, oh my god, under my spaghetti hands, blah, 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 with your name. I try to make it spell the names correctly, but something in the text export with some names that have diacritics over them and stuff just isn't working correctly. Sorry about that, but if you've supported for a month, you go there. So you can do that, and that's $1 a month if you want to do it. Early access to episodes, things like that. Patreon, merchandise store, blah, blah, blah. Subscribe, etc. Goodbye.